Assalamualaikum everyone. I am NADIRA, BINTI MUHAMMED DARWIRA, matric number 2021206434 from group D1AM1122C. Today, I would like to present about absolute monarchy and military rules. So here the meaning of middle stage refers to the transition from a patrimonial feudal state to a standard state or state estates, in which nobles and representative institutions wielded significant power, to an absolute monarchy that abolished these powers, and finally to the constitution and structures of state bureaucracy in the 19th and 20th centuries. This trend is problematic because it is an oversimplification that exists but does not address how the shift from absolute monarchy to the next constitutional form was accomplished. If power was distributed, shared and negotiated rather than centralized, the French Revolution must have been a far more creative departure from the old regime state, and one that may have contributed more to the establishment of a centralized state than it was ready to concede. These issues do not have obvious answers, but they do suggest that existing perspectives may need to be considered. Perhaps the fixation with power concentration is now an antiquated issue, one that oversimplifies the complex process of negotiation and compromise that took place between elites and the states throughout this time period. So, next, it is about military rule. Military rule is an authoritarian style of government in which the dictator is either regulated by a group of high-ranking military officers who can limit the dictator's discretion, or by a single high-ranking military commander who is unaffected by other officers. They take the shape of military dictatorships. Military regimes and high-ranking military officials are more prone to violate local human rights and participate in civil war than civilian dictatorships. Military chief commander, on the other hand, behave differently from military superintendents who are more focused on other areas. They will spark a slew of international conflicts between military and civilian dictatorships. This might be due to a variety of factors such as fear, imprisonment, fears about the future might lead to resistance during times or transition, insurgency, popular uprisings, or hostility from military governments, as well as civilian dictators pose a threat to high-ranking military officers. For military governments, this problem usually resolves with democracy, but for civilian regimes, the reverse is also true.
Brunei Darussalam is the oldest country and still uses a monarchy system of government, which is a system of absolute king. Raja Brunei very emphasized the teachings of the religion of Islam. Brunei is very different from other countries which adopt a monarchy government system because the people in the country are very happy, different from North Korea. North Korea is one of the countries that has causes the people in its country to live in suffering. The people are living in suffering, and their way of life has also been organized by their national leader. People in North Korea cannot live as they want. There is a little difference in the way of life between the people of North Korea and the people of Brunei Darussalam. For the country of Brunei, they live in a happy state, while the people of North Korea live in a damaged and a suffering state. This is because the people in Brunei are given good treatment from their king. Meanwhile, the people of North Korea are living in suffering because their leaders have suffered badly, and even their leaders, according to the country, cruelly. Among the way people of Brunei live is that the people of Brunei do not live in difficult situations because the economy in Brunei is very stable, which causes its people to live happy and rich. Not the same as in North Korea. In North Korea, people live in difficult situations and poor because because they do not have enough money to live. Even though they are in difficult situation, they will not get help from those who are more powerful. The people of Brunei also live in comfortable and peaceful conditions due to less problems between them or with the king's way of ruling the country. Meanwhile, North Korean people live in uncomfortable and unsafe conditions because every time they commit an offenses, they will be threatened to be imprisoned or sentenced to death if they commit an offense. The way the King of Brunei successfully ruled the country of Brunei without any element of oppression causes his people to live in peaceful and comfortable conditions. Its people are also free to do anything without being controlled and ordered by the king. Others that happen in North Korea. North Korea has ruled its country cruelly, and they have also implemented the element of oppression of the people to the point of causing its people to live in suffering conditions and in difficult conditions compared to other countries. In addition, the people of Brunei do not have to live in fear or live in that are often threatened by their leaders because in Brunei, the king has applied the teachings of Islam while ruling the country, different from what happens in Korea. The people in that Korea live in a state of fear as a result of being always treated by their leaders to follow his instructions, and every instruction will change. This can cause the mental and emotional condition of the people to be bad, which can cause the people to live in stress condition and may try to hurt themselves. For the people of Brunei overall, the emotional and also the mental condition of the people is aware, and the people are not in a depressed state because they do not have to live in fear. The way leaders in each country govern the country and the way they manage their people also affects how the people can live in that country. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is ALYA MAISARAH binti HISHAM. I'm going to continue to talk about the difference between military rule and absolute monarchy in the perspective of law and human rights. So the first one is freedom of movement. Brunei, as a country that practices absolute monarchy, allows freedom of movement. In Brunei, the government generally respects the legal right to freedom of internal movement and the right to migrate, but still imposes restrictions on foreign travel. Foreign travel here means government employees, including citizens and foreign residents who working on a contract basis, must apply for an exit permit to travel abroad. However, even that freedom of movement existed, Brunei also committed segregation, where anyone who carries a weapon and threatens the security, peace or well-being of the country will be segregated regardless of whether they enter or leave the country. When we see a country under military rule like North Korea, they don't give a freedom of movement to their people. The transfer of population from one province to another is illegal in North Korea. Movement in and out of the country is also not allowed, especially without approval and without reasonable right. North Korea not only does not give freedom of movement to its citizens, but they continue to block all cell phone services at the border and arrest people who communicate with people abroad. Security on North Korea's long land border with China is indeed very tight. The order in force allows security forces to shoot unconditionally anyone who tries to cross the border without permission. The second human right is freedom of labor. As I said earlier, Brunei is under absolute monarchy, so they completely ban forced labor. According to state law itself, prohibits all types of forced or compulsory labor, where the government doesn't enforce the law effectively and compel labor occur. Convictions for forced labor can result in penalties, including fines, jail and caning. But most cases alleging forced labor are resolved out of court. The penalty is commensurate with the punishment for a heavy crime, just like kidnapping. In addition, the government itself also founded an interagency committee under the Prime Minister office to coordinate the government's effort to combat human trafficking, just like forced labor. So the difference between military rule and absolute monarchy is that countries under military rule practice forced labor. Like North Korea, they routinely require unpaid forced labor from most of its population, including women and children. Most of them were forced to work and placed to work, such a place like prison detention centers, and they are entitled to a salary, but in many cases, they do not compensate them and are often referred to as mirror of loyalty. Other than that, children who are forced into forced labor are also forced to follow the North Korean government's instructions because the media themselves claim that the children work voluntarily, especially often, even though the truth is they do not even want to involve in forced labor. Next is the right to health. Saudi Arabia is also one of the countries under absolute monarchy, and they did give human right to its people. The closest example is that since COVID-19 took place, the Ministry of Health there has been able to confirm that the vaccine has been given to almost all Saudi Arabians, and this right to health is given equally to all citizens, even if they are prison inmates. A media there once reported that detainees in security prison were also vaccinated as in immunization against COVID-19. If there is any detainees that get positive, the prison authorities will isolate them in another cell so it does not infect other inmates. This could show that Saudi Arabia remains caring and does not violate the right of its citizens to access healthcare. So if we view in terms of countries that practice military rule, they don't get their right on health. A country that applies the military rule is Myanmar, and the health system there was arguably poor and was very limited. For example, there were protesters who were injured as a result of the riots that took place. What happened is they had to accept being given treatment in secret by health workers. This is because it is very difficult to get health help due to the attacks on healthcare facilities. Furthermore, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the right to health there is still worse because the military government itself continued to undermine the COVID-19 response by confiscating personal protective equipment. That's all from me. I will pass to my friend to talk more about the difference between absolute monarchy and military rule.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NURUL NORDIN. I will explain about monarchy and contrast military country on aspect of economy. Brunei is a country that has long used this monarchy system. This nation operates in variety of economic areas. Brunei Darussalam has a greater GDP and produces a significant amount of oil. Brunei has a particular advantage in that their country is rich oil resources. This is Brunei key industry because it generates the majority of the country income. In order to grow its economy, Brunei also exports crude oil and natural gas. This will assist the country in furthering its development and raising its national level. Thailand is a country that adopts military rules. Country is a farming-oriented country with numerous crops such as paddy farm. The country also gets money from its crops such as producing high-quality rice of various types that can be sold at cheap or inexpensive price. However, the current plan aims are restricted and the intervention price is lower than the market price. Thailand has one of the world's major fish and seafood business, exporting about 90% of this output and control more than 40% of the worldwide market. Thailand has a fishing sector and a halal product industry such as raw material due to its proximity to irrigation. The government of Brunei has made develop the country's SME a priority in order for them to compete in the global market. This will help to develop the firm and attract the higher requirement from other nations. Brunei Darussalam government has also expanded the business that might the country, such as a tourism industry, which allow individuals from other countries to visit that area. This is because Brunei has many attractive locations to visit, such as a Sultan Omar Ali Saifuddin Mosque, which is well known and attract many people, especially Islamic nations. So, we can see that economy of Brunei country is not only focused on oil and natural gas, but it is expanding to other sectors as well. Next, for the military state, the Thailand government also announced the Thailand 4.0 strategy, which aims to develop a value-based economy focused on creativity, innovation, and intellect in order to promote inclusive and long-term economic expansion. Thailand is also putting in place the 12th National Economic and Social Development Plans, which will implement the 5 years of the 20 years national strategy, while also supporting and coordinating Thailand 4.0. This technique has the ability to narrow the gap between the affluent and the poor people income. It may also be helpful to Thailand poverty rate. The country economy will expand fast, increasing international competitiveness. This problem has the potential to increase international investor trust in Thailand. That's all from me. Thank you.
The first point, absolute monarchy country, the royal family give the freedom of media use or use of media, but have the limit that citizen cannot be violated. The country that use this system, absolute monarchy system, such as Brunei Darussalam, UAE, Oman, Vatican City, and other absolute monarchy country not have strict rules to use media, but they have rules that limit their royal family. Their royal family cannot expose themselves to the media, but the citizen can expose themselves in media freedom concept. Compared to the military rules, the military general control the media in every aspect. Military general use their power coup d'etat to control of media. In terms of this country, we can take the example of Myanmar, Burma, that have their NLD party that win and the election have coup d'etat by the general military. Their consular of the state, which is Aung San Suu Kyi, have been arrested in their home. We can say that Burma is controlled by military. The second point is give the freedom of media users. They are not block citizens to use social media as normal person. We can say that the king, the royal family that rule the country as a government, give the freedom of social media to the citizen use as a normal person being. They can update their daily life in the social media. Example of social media is Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, and etc. We can take the example is Brunei Darussalam. Their Prince Martin have their own social media, Instagram. The Prince Martin use the Instagram to update their life. We can say that we can conclude that the absolute monarchy country give the freedom of media in aspect of social media. We can compare that with the military rules country which is in North Korea. In North Korea, citizens cannot use the media social. All the media social was blocked by their supreme leader. All they cannot know what's in the outside world do. They use the propaganda. North Korea use the propaganda that manipulate their citizen thinking. They block all the TV station, internet. They cannot know. They cannot learn that something new about the world outside, especially in West country. we also know, all of us know that North Korea have the bad diplomatic with the United States, which is the West country. The citizen can express their feeling to the government or the royal family who conduct the country with the correct way without violence the law. In the absolute country system or the law, we can critique the government in the correct channel. We cannot too much critique government that give the negative impact to the government, such as UAE, Brunei Darussalam, Oman, Vatican City. We cannot too much critique to the Vatican City they have because Vatican City is the holy country to the Christian, to the Catholic. Thus, if we critique too much of their citizen, critique too much, they can impact negative in the religion belief. Compared to the military rules country, military general or junta hire their citizen to critique the government. If their citizen do, they will be punished with the cruel law. We can take it in the North Korea. In the North Korea, the citizen must obey, must always give the support to the government in every aspect without critique the government. Other than if the government do the wrong way in the lead, they must follow the supreme leader. If they cannot, or if they don't obey, they will punish with the effect until third generation of their family. The last point is the development of the media in the absolute monarchy country is huge and have the improvement. We can say that in the absolute monarchy country have the good economy and have the good media, the freedom of media that can impact their improvement of the media. The citizen will more happy because of they can express their feeling. The citizen know the world outside and have their freedom of media. We can compare that to the military rules. Most of the military rules country do not have the good development of media. Because of what? Because of their close their media and do not open their media worldwide and impact their citizen, because of their citizen cannot know too much about the work outside. That's all for me. Thank you.
In conclusion, these two different ways of governing produce many differences in various aspects, both in the process of governing as well as the country and the people ruled. Significant differences in social life show very significant differences because countries that use absolute monarchy show the characteristics of peace, harmony, and calm, as in Brunei, while countries ruled by military rule give a lot of burdens, torture, use of force, and snatching of human rights, there as in North Korea. The citizen in a country that use absolute monarchy does not live in fear and guarantee peace because there are no national problems, while a country that use military rule puts pressure and makes its citizens always in a state of fear because they are always disturbed by national problems. The gap in terms of law and human rights is also very different. Brunei, which practice absolute monarchy, give freedom of movement within and outside the country, while North Korea restrict movement in and out, especially without approval, and they will kill people who try to cross the border without any discussion. So, the example that we discussed above it can be conclude that countries governed by different administration or administrator will have different effects of administrative affairs, citizens, economy, and way of life, and also affect the mental health of the people or public. This is because the mental health of the people living in using force and living in a country that use a stable and gentle way of administration is different. Those who live in a safe and peaceful country without being mobilized course and not under pressure like an absolute monarchy will maintain their mental health. So the effect is that the country can develop quickly and effectively because of the cooperation and tolerance between the administrator and the people. Others with the people sitting in a country that always practice violence, assertiveness and intolerance between the administration or administrator and the public will affect the mental health of the people. So the people do not dare to take any action, then there is no diversity in the country. As a result, the country will be in a static state and not expand and be considered ancient by the other countries. That's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you for watching our video. Thank you, Madam Eva, to listening to our presentation, and thank you for all my classmates. That's all from us. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.